Hello everyone, and this is BioPhoenix here, and today we're going to be doing a video response to Teysind Spot. Now, in case you don't know who his channel is, basically he does a lot of discussion videos on video games, anime, and he also does some pickups on same type of stuff, like video games, anime, figures, all that kind of good stuff. And of course, he also does do video responses and all that kind of good stuff, which, really awesome stuff. And he's just a really awesome dude as well. So, like I said, you can go check out his channel in case you haven't. But, so he decided to do a video talking about, whenever they do make a Super Nintendo Mini, because, with the recently, that came out, the NES Mini that just recently came out, he wanted to do a kind of like a wish list of games that he thinks that would be on a Super Nintendo Mini if there ever was one to be coming out, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I mean, with this thing going all nuts all of a sudden, I'm pretty sure they would probably do a follow-up with that one. So anyways, these are going to be some of my suggestions of games. I'm going to be naming 8 random ones. There we go. Here, I had to recount that, but anyways so I'm just going to be doing 8 random ones, and I'm going to be mentioning some more of third-party ones, since, the NES Mini had some third-party ones, which was actually kind of surprising. And of course, I'm not going to be naming things because obviously they're going to have the Marios, the Zeldas, the Metroids, F-Zeros, and Donkey Kong Countries, all that kind of good stuff. I'm pretty sure they would. If they didn't, that'd be just fucking weird. But anyways, though, so these are going to be my suggestions of games that I think would be pretty awesome to have on a Super Nintendo Mini. So the first one that came up on this list is Ninja Gaiden Trilogy. As you know, I'm a huge fan of the original Ninja Gaiden series, and having them on the Super Nintendo was actually a pretty nice treat. Although, unfortunately, the game is stupid expensive now, but so having this one on here would actually be very easy access, and not only that, but you're pretty much hitting 3 birds with 1 stone. I mean, that's pretty fucking awesome, especially for the fact that, it's Ninja Gaiden. I mean, just good old, side-scrolling hack and slash and fast-paced action, and of course, really hard as hell, but it's definitely very satisfying, and you know what, I just enjoyed it a hell of a lot, so just having that, something like that on there would be pretty sweet. So the next one on here is Final Fight 2. Now, in case you don't know, there's 3 of them on the Super Nintendo, and I'd be okay with having all 3 of them. Well, I'd definitely be okay with having all 3, but if I had to pick one, I'd probably have to say, probably, Final Fight 2, just because, I just really like that one a whole lot, and of course it actually has 2 players, because unfortunately the first game didn't have a 2-player option, but, the Super Nintendo version of 2 did, so yeah, that's definitely awesome to have on there. But yeah, like I said, either having 2 or 3 would definitely make me happy. Having just 1 would be okay, but I think having like I said, 2 or 3 would just be a lot better of an option. But anyways though, just can't go wrong with a good old Capcom beat 'em up. So the next one I came up with is Illusion of Gaia. Although I would also be pretty open to add in Soul Blazer here as well, since they are both very similar styles of games, since they are both action RPGs that all have really good graphics, really good story, really good music, and all that kind of good shit. So either having one or the other, or both even, although it'd be kind of unlikely if they had both, but you never know. But if they either had one or the other, I'd be pretty happy with that, since, they're both really awesome RPGs to have on the Super Nintendo. So the next one I have on here is UN Squadron, which is a shoot 'em up from Capcom, and it's a really awesome one at that as well. So there's not a whole lot I can say on that one though, but all that I can say is that I wanted to pick that one specifically, mainly because I know it's a very popular one on the Super Nintendo, but really I'd be pretty happy to have at least 1 or 2 shoot 'em ups on a Super Nintendo Mini, whether it be, like I said, UN Squadron, or Supernova, or Earth Defense Force, not to be confused with the other Earth Defense Force, or Aero Fighter, or anything like that. I'd be pretty happy with anything like that, so either way, just having at least 1 shoot 'em up would definitely be a really awesome time. But I'm pretty sure if they were to pick one, they'd probably pick either that one or R-Type or something like that. So the next one I have on here is Pokken Rocky. And I'd be pretty open to have either 1 or 2, but I think it would make more sense if they started out with 1. But either way, so there's a lot of reasons why I would want this on here. I mean, for one, it's an awesome freaking game, and secondly, the game is really expensive to get normally, so would be easy access. And 3, well, Natsumi still owns the rights to it, which is really good, and also the fact that Natsumi have actually recently did a port of the original game which is which was also on the PC Engine. You can actually get that on the PS4's PSN, and it's called Kiki Kai Kai, which is actually pretty awesome. So there is that. So because they did make that port on here, it is quite possible that they might actually invest in putting their title on the Super Nintendo Mini. Wouldn't that be freaking great? So this next one right here is ActRaiser, which is quite possibly one of my favorite games that Enix put out on the Super Nintendo, which is definitely saying something. So yes, this is not only like a really interesting RPG-ish, but it's actually kind of like a mix of like an action game, then it has also like a sim game where you play as a god and all that kind of good stuff. It's actually really awesome, really unique, and it's unfortunate that they never really bothered to revive the series ever again, although of course there'd be other games that would take elements from it, like Dark Cloud. And they did make a second one, but they kind of stripped down the whole sim thing, which is kind of disappointing, but yeah, so if they ever were to try to revive this series again, I think it would be pretty nice if they did put it on the Super Nintendo Mini. So the next one I'm going to be mentioning here is going to be a racing game, and I can't really think of too many racing games on the Super Nintendo. I mean, there's a few, and of course, there's the obvious Super Mario Kart, which I would be pretty surprised if they didn't have that on there, but this racing game that I'm going to be mentioning is Top Gear, which is pretty much like a very arcade-style racing game, kind of similar to Outrun, actually. In fact, I'd say it's actually very similar to it. It's almost like Nintendo's version of Outrun, but actually it was made by Kemco, which I'm not sure if they're still around. I really don't think they are, since I don't really remember hearing them put out anything recently, but if it is possible to get the Top Gear games on there, that would actually be pretty great. In fact, I believe there's 3 of them on the Super Nintendo, which is pretty great, so either having one of them, or 2, or all of them on there, that would just be awesome. Now, this is going to be the last one I'm going to be mentioning here. Like I said earlier on, I'm only going to be mentioning 8, and there's a shitload of Super Nintendo games that would be awesome to see on there, but that will be you guys' choice to mention some of those, since, you can feel free to comment your own, or do a review response, whatever your choice is. Well, anyway, so this next one that I'm going to be mentioning here is actually going to be kind of an obscure one that would be pretty awesome to see, but I think it would be kind of unlikely, but hey, you never know. But it would actually make a lot of sense, because this obscure game is actually very casual-like, and that happens to be the game Pieces, which I did a review on it a couple months ago. Now, in case you don't know what this game is, basically it's a jigsaw puzzle game, but it's also like a jigsaw puzzle battler game, kind of like, like Puya Puya in a very similar kind of way, but instead of Tetris, it's like jigsaw puzzles. It's actually a lot of fun, and I definitely really liked it a whole bunch, and like I said, it would actually suit having a game like this on the Super Nintendo, or the Super Nintendo Mini, because, it's very casual-like, it's very easy to pick up and play, and of course, the company that made the game is actually still around. It's Nippon Ichi, which is the people that made, games like Disgaea and such, so, it would actually be pretty cool if they actually got their hands on getting invested into the Super Nintendo Mini games list, so either way, that will be the last one I'll be mentioning here, and that would be a pretty great, interesting one to have. Alright, so that'll be the end of this video, and like I said earlier, you can comment your own suggestions of games that you wish to see on the Super Nintendo Mini whenever it happens, or you can do a video response. Whatever the case is, it's definitely going to be a very interesting topic, and I gotta thank Teysind for doing this, since it is a really awesome idea. And I know I didn't go too much into detail on some of these games, but a lot of it is pretty self-explanatory stuff, and, like I said, some of them I've done reviews on, or I will be doing reviews on, so you never know. So, with that being said, thanks for watching and commenting, and have yourselves a great day, and hopefully everything will go smoothly throughout the holidays.